Start installation on your K&N 63-3072 by turning off the ignition and disconnecting the vehicle's negative battery cable. Disconnect the vehicle's mass air sensor electrical connection. Next, disconnect the crankcase vent line from the factory intake tube. Loosen the hose clamps that secure the factory intake tube to the mass air sensor and throttle body. Remove the intake tube from the vehicle. Remove the two nuts that secure the factory air box to the inner fender. Pull up firmly and remove the air box from the vehicle. K&N recommends that customers do not discard their factory air intake. Remove the lower air box mounting stud. Install the heat shield mounting bracket, part number 07190, onto the heat shield using the provided hardware. Next, install the filter adapter onto the heat shield using the provided K&N hardware. Install the provided silicone hose, part number 08050, onto the filter adapter and secure with the provided hose clamp. Install the shorter edge trim onto the heat shield. Some trimming may be necessary. Install the larger edge trim onto the heat shield and trim off any excess edge trim. Now it's time to install the heat shield assembly onto the vehicle and secure it with the factory nut from step number 6 and the provided K&N hardware. Remove the mass air sensor from the factory air box. Install the mass air sensor onto the heat shield assembly and secure with the provided hose clamp. Install the 1/4 NPT vent fitting into the K&N intake tube. Next, install the angle hose, part number 084089, onto the K&N intake tube and secure it with the provided hose clamp. Be sure not to completely tighten the hose clamp at this time. Install the silicone hose, part number 08051, onto the K&N intake tube and secure it with the provided hose clamp. Be sure not to completely tighten the hose clamp at this time. Now it's time to install the intake tube assembly onto the throttle body and mass air sensor. Adjust the assembly for a proper fit and secure it with the provided hose clamp. Remove the driver's side engine cover. Disconnect the crankcase vent tube from the valve cover and remove it from the vehicle. Remove the elbow and foam insulation from the crankcase vent tube. Measure 8.5 inches from the end of the tube and then cut the tube using a sharp knife.
Go ahead.
Install the provided silicone hose onto the factory crankcase vent tube. Next, install the crankcase breather hose onto the valve cover and connect the open end to the vent fitting attached to the K&N intake tube. Reinstall the engine cover. Install the K&N air filter and secure with the provided hose clamp. Reconnect the mass air sensor electrical connection. Reconnect the vehicle's negative battery cable. Double check to make sure everything is tight and properly positioned before starting the vehicle. After 100 miles of driving, check the nuts and bolts and retighten if necessary.